let's throw it over to Todd Evans. Todd, I already know your thoughts on this record, but for everybody else, they might not necessarily know what your thoughts are. So, what do you think about In Reverse and how it falls within the catalog, and how do you rank this? In fact,
Okay.
I think what we're going to do, you guys, I'm going to take like a, uh, we'll rank it out of 10 at the end, and then we'll do a ranking with our general, you know,
So at the end
combination.
of
Yeah.
like when I'm done talking about it, I'll give it a ranking.
Give a ranking
Okay.
and we'll just do an average at the end. That's what I've
Okay.
been doing lately. So let's just do that. So Todd, take it away. Give me your thoughts
Okay.
on this one.
Well, In Reverse is my favorite Matthew Sweet album, and I think it's the best Matthew Sweet album.
There you go.
Um,
Wow, that's a great
All right.
start.
That is
I've gone on record as saying that before. So.
that is quite a statement, Rich.
And I
It
want to
is, but it's worthy, you know.
I want to clear something up about what I said on a previous show about this album. I said something about not liking the sound of it. I said something about not liking the engineering. And upon further analysis, I think the thing that's different about it is that different songs are engineered differently, but most of it sounds very good. And I think I was letting the fact that I don't like the way the drums sound on track number 3, Beware My Love, to cloud my judgment of how the whole thing sounds. I think the whole album actually sounds pretty good. I just think he was going for different things on different
Yes,
tracks. And then I think that when he's going for a stylistic thing that gets nostalgic, I think he made a decision to change things up, because you can't tell by reading the liner notes whether and who did what. It just lists the production team, so it's not like you can tell if a different person mixed a certain song. So I wanted to correct that. I actually think overall this album sounds pretty good, especially Millennium Blues. I think sounds great. Um, I think Millennium Blues is one of the more straightforward songs. But if time permits, is when you really get that where the Phil Spectorism
yeah,
really kick
Yeah.
straight
in.
away.
And
Yeah.
and and I think that it's a great I think it's a great combination of the sound that Matthew Sweet already had with the layered vocals and all that kind of stuff, and incorporating the whole Phil Spector kind of thing, and using some of the people from the Wrecking Crew to be on, on playing on it. And so Beware My Love I like that song, but it's one of my least favorite songs on it. For whatever reason, he decided to go with a drum sound that sounds like this snare drum sounds like somebody's just hitting a piece of paper with a pencil. And so I'm not really sure why he did that, but I'm sure he had a reason.
There's probably, I mean, this is such a widespread, diverse album. It's possible that the timing, like that he got to do it, might have affected the sound
Sure.
as well. You
Yeah.
know, because all the work he had to put in, how much time and how much budget did he have?
Well,
And
and also think about this. This is the last album for
Yeah, with a
well,
decent budget.
right.
yeah.
Well, this is the last album that was on Volcano or Zoo or whatever you want to
Mm,
call it.
mm.
So after that, he's been independent ever since. So it's almost like the last hurrah. Now, whether
Yeah.
that's true or not, I don't know. But if you listen to this record, everything's thrown in, including the kitchen sink.
Mm.
So it's
Maybe
almost
that's
like,
why he threw everything in. He knew this is going to be my last chance to make
Well, and
a masterpiece.
this coincides with his becoming very interested in using a lot of different instruments and a lot of different historical instruments
Yeah,
that hadn't been used before, and he was collecting instruments. And
yeah,
so, we'll talk about when we get the thunderstorm about the harpsichord and the theremin, and he actually those were actually
yeah.
all his stuff.
He's
And
sourcing everything from the '60s that he loved growing up. You
right,
know.
right.
right. But I think I'm not gonna hit every song. I'm just gonna hit
No,
some
no.
I'm just gonna hit some highlights. I think Hide is a particularly beautiful song. Split Personality is great. Could have been on any one of the 3 previous albums, I think.
Yeah,
I Should Never Let You Know, Trade Places, and What Matters, I really feel like are some real gems. And I think that they're masterfully arranged, and perfect example of what he was doing with his layered background vocals. And at the time, and I almost hesitate to bring this up because I didn't really check this to find out whether it was a real thing. But at the time, he was accused. I don't know if accused is the right word, but there were people saying that he was pitch adjusting his voice to get the particular harmonies that he was doing, which I have no problem with. I love the way it sounds. So if that's what he was doing, more power to him. It
must be difficult to do that
It
anyway.
sounds good to me. Right, right. I mean, so that's a whole other skill. So I think that's a positive.
Yeah, let's hope
but I really want to talk about Worse to Live, because Worse to Live, I remember this very vividly. Me and my first wife had just moved to had lived in California for about a year, and we were driving through Burbank, doing something, going out to lunch. I think it was a Saturday afternoon. And we were talking about something. And about halfway through Worse to Live, it was the first time we were listening to this album. And I don't know if, I don't know why we were talking through it while we were listening to it for the first time and why that was in the car. But I remember just stopping what I was doing and saying out loud, what is going on here? Are you hearing this? What is going on here? I think Worse to Live is just absolutely gorgeous. It's one of my favorite songs of all time. It's a beautiful song, and
so
open.
Just,
and I love the way that he doesn't hold back at all. It's very emotional and very powerful, and he's
not afraid to confront the real gut wrenching emotions of relationships.
Oh, we know that.
Yeah,
so I mean that song in particular is really open.
Yeah. And so then we get to Thunderstorm, and Thunderstorm is the reason why I give this why I call it my favorite album. And it's brilliant. The way that it moves through the different parts of the arrangement is so masterful, and it doesn't feel abrupt when he goes through all the changes. When I heard it, it reminded me of there's a song by Lindsey Buckingham called DW Sweet. It's on his In Reverse album, and it's in 3 distinct parts, and it's about 10 minutes long. And Thunderstorm always reminded me of a better version of that. And that's not to disparage Lindsey's song, but I just thought I was really blown away by Thunderstorm. And I remember I've got a good friend who's also a big Matthew Sweet friend. And I remember him telling me it's really a crime that people are not listening to this guy, that he's not getting, accolades. And he got good reviews, but he's not, like winning Grammys for this stuff.
No.
And I just think Thunderstorm is so good. The different parts of it are they're so melodic and they're so well done. And the orchestral arrangement is beautiful. And there's theremin, and there's harpsichord, and the guitar solos, which are, I was going to jot down who that was, and I'm going to look in the book right now because
the acoustic guitar picking is beautiful.
Oh yeah,
was it
Lost My Way Into You part?
According to the liner notes, it's Pete Phillips, but there's that one solo in it that's just like low register. And it just goes down.
Yeah.
And it's just, I just love that. It's so.
I think that string, that might be 6-string bass. I'm not sure.
It could be.
That's probably Carol Kay.
It could be. Let me see.
Because, like you said,
she's not credited on this song. Oh, yeah, she is. Electric bass.
I bet you, I'd put money on it that it's her.
But I mean, it's like the end of the lead guitar, one of the solos. But, for that reason, I think that this. Well, I should probably save this for my Kimi Ga Suki review, but I kind of feel like this album and Kimi Ga Suki were the end of a particular era of.
These Matthew are definitely Sweet's for music. Me the last 2 really great Matthew Sweet albums.
That's exactly
he's made a lot of really very good albums since, but this close out his prime years.
Think about that. Other than Kimi, he's pretty much produced himself.
Yeah, but
who produced this though? Who produced this?
Here, I've got Discogs up now.
Is Matthew Sweet, Greg Fred Mayer,
Jim Scott, and Fred Mayer.
Yeah. Well,
so kind of self-produced, if you think about it.
To some degree, yeah.
Yeah. But I think a lot of people, when you tell them this is your favorite Matthew Sweet song, they go, well, what about Girlfriend and 100% Fun and Blue Sky on Mars kind of are the real, those are kind of like a trilogy of when Matthew Sweet started getting real good at doing what he does. And I do agree that those albums are very special, especially Girlfriend and 100% Fun. But I still think that In Reverse is the best one. Being a prog fan and somebody who appreciates somebody who tries a whole bunch of different things and doesn't hold back. And when he feels something emotionally, he's going to give it to you as much as he wants, and he's not going to hold back because of any other reason. He's just going to do what he wants, and that's how I feel about In Reverse. I feel like he had all those people that he wanted to play on it, and he had all of those instruments, and he had a little bit of a budget, and this is what you got. So yeah, so I give it a 10.
Hurrah.
I give it a 10. I give it 10 out of 10.
Holy crap. Well,
Yet he does the complete opposite with the next album, doesn't he? It's totally a week written, no demos or anything.
Right.
It's totally raw and in the moment.
but it's also very girlfriend-like, and that's what everybody wants. I know. I think it's great that Matthew Sweet is pushing the boundaries, being creative. But I still look at Girlfriend as the peak, and everything else is. Well, I mean, I love Altered Beast almost as much as Girlfriend, but I love everything about all the records. But I think as of a record that is totally perfect, Girlfriend is totally
Girlfriend's
perfect.
just one. It's a great rock album more than anything. Great rock album, great power pop album. It defines that kind of music really well.
I mean, In Reverse is way more creative, of course, but it's just me that the production. I'm not a big fan of Phil Spector, for one. He might.
I heard him on the radio so much as a kid.
I don't mind his work with the Ramones so much, but I did not care for his work on Let It Be or any of like the John Lennon solo albums. I think those records sound like crap. I would rather Phil just stay back there in the whole wall of sound and 1965 and stay there. And I get that Matthew Sweet probably digs all that stuff, but I think that the CD or whatever, what was it? JC would love to have seen Intervention do a reissue of In Reverse. I would too. I think this record,
I'd love a vinyl issue of it.
And maybe it's not so much the sound of it. Maybe the record sounds fine. I don't think the mastering on this is particularly good. I don't care for the sound of it at all. And I'm not saying the material's bad. The material's fine, but I can't get past the mastering.
Let me tell you something, Grant. Do you have this compilation?
No.
I don't have that. I need to get that.
There's a
What's so special about it?
Well, there's a mix of Faith in You on it, which is, I would say, exactly the type of mixing and mastering you'd love to hear. So if you get this, there's a version of a mix of Faith in You, and it's far more punchier and more dynamic, and it sounds like a single, so if you get this, it's also got a pretty cool demo.
I'm getting it. I think I'm getting it pretty.
What?
Pretty soon. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's a good demo of Time Capsule on it too. This is really good. This
what is that? What's the title of that?
Playlist. They've done a lot of different artists in the playlist series, but this is
that really, domestically really available, Todd, or is that like a
no, that's Australian. Okay. It was back when you could go to a store and buy CDs. That it was a very typical dump table kind of a series, like
it's got
$5
bin. It's got Volcano on the label, so it was
Rich, what is it called again?
One of that
playlist.
Here,
look, I'll show it right at the screen for you. Playlist, the very best of Matthew Sweet. And it's got a really great kick-ass version mix of Faith in You. And when I heard that, I thought of you, and I thought, this is how you would want In Reverse to sound.
So maybe I shouldn't be so harsh on it. Oh, look,
the Judas Priest playlist.
Yeah,
Okay.
they've
And
done lots and lots of artists.
and I believe Sony put these out, but they licensed whatever they need to do. This one has the Columbia Legacy logo on it, but I think that's a Sony series.
Is playlist? Oh, look! Why am I on the?
You should be able to order that online.
All right, I made a note of it, so
Just
I'm
go
going to
to
look that
eBay.
up.
No.
I made a note of it, so yes, I'm all about it. So, Rich, what's your thoughts about In Reverse?
Okay, well, when Blue Sky on Mars came out, I'd sort of lost interest in Matthew Sweet for a while because there was a bit of a break. I mean, I just wasn't listening to him. And then I got that album and I thought, yeah, it sounds to me like he's not really trying to be ambitious anymore. I mean, Blue Sky on Mars is just a straightforward guitar pop album. I mean, it's good. It's got some really, great tracks on it, like Come to Love. I'm not Come to Love. What is it?
I know what you're talking about.
No. Coming Back to You, and
Mhm.
Where Do You Get Love? And I thought it was a really good album, but I thought I've kind of I think he's had his day now. He's had his
Ooh.
day now.
Ooh.
And then he comes out with In Reverse. I'm getting echo again. Is that me? Oh.
I don't
Anyway.
hear anything on my end.
Yeah, I'm not hearing it either.
Hang on. What do I? Hang on.
Well, you remember when Blue
Yeah,
Skies on
yeah.
Mars came out? I mean, that the critics pretty much
Well, they were all
they didn't care
unmoved.
for that album at all.
No.
I
I
like it.
appreciate it.
I
more
really
now.
like it much more now than I liked it then.
Yeah, and it's actually because of you guys reawakened my interest, because I actually got a vinyl copy that I forgot I had, a signed vinyl copy.
Yeah, I've
And I
got
put it
that.
on my day and I thought, this actually is a really, really cool album. I like it. And the
Mhm.
Brendan O'Brien production is really, really strong. But anyway, after that album, I got In Reverse and I thought, obviously the artwork really fascinated me, the way it was all ups and it would just look like, here it is anyway. This is the Japanese edition. Have you guys got this?
No, I've got
No, I've heard
domestic.
about that.
It's got the bonus track demo versions of Thunderstorm on it.
Yeah.
I
I
need
think it's
that.
3 or 4 tracks, and it sounds like what Thunderstorm would have sounded like if it was done in his usual more power pop style.
Mhm.
But anyway, this album impressed me because I thought Matthew's not being complacent; he's being ambitious, and I was hoping that he would branch out and do something different. And this is exactly what this album delivers. It's him totally going for everything he's got at his disposal in the studio, and you could tell that he was really reaching to do all of the sort of production techniques that he probably grew up with as a kid, loving all those 60s records, and he's using, like you said, the theremin and all the backwards. I mean, the album's called In Reverse. There's lots of reverse guitar on this album. Have you noticed? It's all over the place.
Yeah.
And especially on the opening track, Millennium Blues. I mean, it's all backward stuff.
Mhm.
And he comes out right off the gate with, I think, a real statement. And he's trying to Millennium Blues. He's trying to make a statement about we've had like the greedy 80s and the self-absorbed 90s or whatever, and now it's not about you anymore. But that's a real dated sentiment because these days, obviously, everything's about you with the internet and everybody being so narcissistic and wanting instant fame and attention. So that sentiment didn't last long. But it's a great opening track. And then what's the next one? Millennium Blues. Time Permits.
Mhm.
What have I got here? He says, I'm not looking back. Part of me wants to stay in the middle. Part of me wants to lose control. That's a good line. Time Permits is when he goes for that Spectre sound. Yeah, Time Permits is a great song. It's really one of those songs where Matthew Sweet isn't afraid to kind of confront the more sort of darker side of what it's like, to face up to things. I mean, it's like a song about karma, all the bad things I've done in the past. How long do I get to make up for them? Will they come back to me? And it's got a great chorus. The harmonies are really beautiful, especially in the second chorus when the harmonies come up in the higher register. They're really beautiful. And okay, what's next? Beware My Love. Backwards
Yeah.
guitar intro again.
I love that track.
And harmonized vocals, a very ominous kind of sounding song. Again, Matthew Sweet often writes songs about relationship problems that can happen, and like in a song like "We're the Same," which sounds on the surface like a real sunny song, "Baby, we're the same."
Mm-hmm.
In that song, he's kind of saying, well, I would never do anything to sort of mess with your head or manipulate you because we're the same. We think we want the same things. But he's saying, I never told you what to do. I swear to you. He's kind of like, he kind of like puts it out there. He doesn't sort of whitewash the sort of darkness in relationships. And in this song, Beware My Love, he's saying, I've got a dark side, but I never meant to hurt you. I sort of think there's a bit of jealous guy in there, Faith in You when I first heard this album, I thought, when are we going to get the rocker? And then answered with that song.
There's your rocker.
Yeah, great. It's probably an E. That song is dun dun dun. Is like a classic E kind of like garage rock riff. Again, he's kind of confronting a deep topic about faith. What is he going to put his faith in his wife, or he's going to put faith in God or something? He's got to put faith in something. He's confronting his doubt. Great riff. The guitar solo is great. I presume that's Pete Phillips, is it? Or what's the name of the guitar player?
I think Todd said Pete Phillips.
Yeah,
I don't know if he is on every track. Let me see.
I'm not familiar with his work.
No,
is he a studio guy or what?
No, I did a bit of research. He was in like kind of a sort of a hardcore band on Sub Pop back in the 80s.
That's Pete Phillips on that track. Yes.
Yeah.
He was in a hardcore band.
Yeah, they were kind of like sort of Gang of Four-ish type hardcore sort of band.
Okay.
And that you wouldn't expect him to be a power pop guy at all. But yeah, I forgot the name. They're called Satellite. I think the name's Satellite in the band. But if you look them up, their early stuff is almost unlistenable, kind of, hardcore. But anyway, obviously he's a gifted guitar player, so he can play what he wants.
Right.
Faith in You. Yeah, I've mentioned that the better version that you would like, well, better, but more mixed version. Hide is a rather somber piano ballad about loss, unlike anything he did before. Before I Knew I Had You, You Were Gone. That's kind of a sad sentiment. And I think he plays piano on this track, doesn't he? He often plays piano on his records. You don't even know it's him playing, but Matthew has a lot of great musical ability. He often does things on his records you don't even know he's doing. One thing I've always loved about Matthew Sweet is his bass playing. He's a really, really strong bass player. If you look at I think all his albums, most of the time he does the bass playing.
Yeah, he's always playing bass.
Yeah, because
on the Lloyd Cole albums, he's playing bass.
Yeah,
too.
that's what I was just going to say. I was just looking at those CDs.
I mean, he plays guitar when he's out on tour, but really he's a bass player, I think.
Yeah, well, he started off. There's an interview with him I saw. It's on YouTube. He's really young in it. It's during the Earth era. They're doing an interview for the promo of that, and he says that he used to be. He learned how to play bass by listening to Yes records, of all things. But his bass playing is always really great on his records. What's Future Shock? What's that one? I really love the distorted jangle on that song. It's kind of a breezy song. One of those songs that Matthew Sweet can write effortlessly. Just has like a really flowing melody, and it's the moment you hear it, it's like it's very familiar to you as a Matthew Sweet type song. And then we get Split Personality, which is a fantastic rocker. I love that song. I love the lead guitar work on it. I think it really goes off towards the end. That is one song, Grant, for sure, that you wish was mastered and mixed differently, because the mastering on that is so thin. And when you hear a rocker like that, you're just craving that real in your face kind of separation, and you wish it was far more noisy and far more harder.
I just think that the master tapes have to sound better than, I don't know. I don't know what happened in the mastering of it.
Well, I think sorry.
I think it's the mastering I think it needs to be remastered, and like Steven
But
said it would be nice to have Intervention
yeah,
reissue this.
a double vinyl
And
of this would be lovely. But I think what this album is doing is that he's basically trying to make a break with his power pop past, and
mhm.
he's trying to be far more. I don't know. I think it's a deliberate. I mean, surely Matthew would have got involved in it, and he knew what he was going for. I think he
Of
was
course.
just trying to show that he was this album had to have a certain sound all the way through, and he knew that he couldn't have another Brendan O'Brien production or anything like that. So he was trying to go for more of a sort of a sheen or something like that. And it must have been difficult to mix this album too with so many things on it. I mean, I
Yeah.
record music myself, and mixing can take forever if you've got too many things. And this album's got, the kitchen sink in it. So it must have taken a long time.
But
Um,
Todd and I had Scott Byron on here, and we were talking about it, and
yeah,
we were
I
saying,
watched all
well,
those interviews with him.
right. So, Matthew in the studio, Matthew pretty much ran the show to some degree. He knew what he
Mm,
wanted, and they just
mm,
kind of went with it because
yeah.
he really made great decisions, and he
Mm,
was very focused and stuff. And I'm sure on this record it's the same thing. He was just going for something different.
yeah, yeah. What's next? I Should Never Have Let You Know is the kind of effortless, perfect pop song that Matthew Sweet can write that gets in your head straight away. It's got great harmonies as usual. It's a very joyful song. I like when the guitar solo comes in.
Mhm.
Um, and then it goes into what is it? I love that breakdown in the middle the end with just the vocals when the call and answer harmonies. Never have let you know. It's really Beach Boysy.
Mhm.
Matthew Sweet really knows
Oh
how to
yeah.
channel that Beach Boysy harmonic thing.
Mhm.
Um, what's next? Never let you know. Trade Places is another beautiful song. It's one of my favorites on the album. Um, I love actually the production on that sounds a bit more full, don't you think? When it comes in, everything sounds a bit more stronger when all that comes in together. It's not as thin, and the drums
Yeah,
sound better on it as well.
yeah, I agree. I don't think the drums sound as good on that song as they do on Millennium Blues and
Yeah, the
Time
first track.
Permits,
Yeah, yeah.
but they're better than
Mm.
some of the other tracks. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's a great song. But What Matters to Me is my favorite. What Matters to Me is a Matthew Sweet classic. It is just an absolutely beautiful song. It's got a gorgeous chorus. The guitars are beautiful. Um, he's one of these. The thing about Matthew Sweet I like is that he's one of these artists that even though they have a label on them, everyone says Matthew Sweet Power Pop. He transcends it. He's just a great songwriter. And when he
Mhm.
really opens up and writes great lyrics about life and love and stuff like that, What Matters is just a beautiful song. And the way it breaks down towards the end, it's got all the backwards guitar and the drums just start, going off towards the end, and it sort of fades out on that. It's to me, it's one of his best ever songs. I'd say definitely in the top 10. And there's a really good live performance of him doing it on some TV show. Hang on, what did it give? I watched it this morning actually just to do
Um,
some research. Let me have a look just a moment.
gosh, I don't
It's
remember him.
Yeah, it's one of the few promos he did for that. NBC Late Night. Uh, yeah, What Matters? NBC Late Night on 1999. He does a version of that, and it's got Rick Mank on drums and everything. You should watch it. And
Check it out.
there wasn't really any singles released from this album, was there? I mean, I think that might have been a single. I'm not sure, but it should have been. But he performed it
Uh,
anyway for TV.
yeah, like at this point, I don't think they were releasing any singles off anything like they were before.
Yeah,
By
they
this
weren't
time, they
promoting.
weren't doing any EPs like they'd done.
Mm. Well,
Just kind of,
Discogs has some kind of promo single for What Matters, but I don't think it's actually like a real single. Like I don't think
no,
it
I
looks
don't
like
think
a
there were any
proper.
singles on here.
Uh, anyway, then he goes into write your own song, and the thing, Matthew Sweet, I like it when he sort of gets tough and he gets a bit nasty. Like this song's obviously. It sounds to me like somebody at the record company was trying to push him to write the single or write the hit. Or maybe he's just talking to some of his fans, who knows? But he's obviously saying, if my songs don't deliver what you want from me, then maybe you should think about writing your own. I mean, it's quite pointed, really, isn't it?
Mhm.
I mean, what do you think? I mean, what do you think his motivation for writing that song was? Someone at the record company forcing him to try to write a hit?
I was
Sounds
just
like
like you. I was split
It could
between
be.
either that or fans.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was split between those two.
Well, I
but the
don't know
lyric,
what I didn't ask Scott Byron how long his contract was for, but we know this was the end of the line. So
yeah,
I don't know. I'm sure by this point in his career, they want another girlfriend. They want
yeah.
another hit. They want something. So I'm assuming that
Mm.
that's probably what that. It could be I
It's
just want a
definitely a
political
pissed off song.
statement.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I love the lyric in it where if I assume both you guys have written songs before.
No.
He, you haven't?
No.
No.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm a
Well, when I
songwriter,
was
and
13,
Thanks for assuming that, though. I appreciate it.
well, I mean, this is obviously a channel that would attract musos, I'd say.
Right.
But the reason I think this song is also a message to like a lot of his fans who are songwriters, because there's a line in it where he says, "Do you think everything that nobody else has thought of? Do you feel everything that nobody feels? I do too. Why don't you write your own song?" It's like, I'm doing it. I've motivated myself to get off my butt and make a career out of doing this. I mean, it really does take a lot of motivation to be a committed songwriter. And the
oh,
and
I'm
the other
sure.
thing, and the other thing in the line that I love in this song, I'm not getting too deep here, am I? Oh, I am getting
No,
too deep. Oh,
I don't know.
well,
Go
I
ahead,
mean,
Rich. You do you, Rich.
well, I mean, there's another line in it too where he says, "And you're right there fighting for what I find appalling, bringing me further down than I already fallen, and you tell me that I only have one chance to win. You only take me where I've never been." That sounds like a message to someone, I think, in the record company or something. It's, come on, Matthew, you got to go for the big one, Like, anyway,
Like it's the end of the
um,
line. Of course he
yeah.
has to. Yeah.
Anyway, so what's the next one? And we
Uh,
get to "Worse to Live,"
yeah.
which is just an amazing song that's both um, very emotional but also anthemic. I mean, who's he talking to in this song? Is he talking to his wife or whoever it is in his life that is suffering from depression? I mean, it's pretty open song, but it's gorgeous, and I love the horn solos at the end of it. It's
Mhm.
very sad, when it goes towards the end. But anyway, we've spoken about that one. Just a great song.
Great
And
song.
then
Yeah.
the only song on this album that I think maybe could have been left off was the next song, "Untitled," which sounds like he kind of just wrote that pretty quickly. I don't know. It's okay, but like it says, it's untitled. Don't let me go on. It doesn't sound like exactly he was pushing too hard to write a masterpiece with that song.
I
But
think it's
anyway,
good that that song is between "Worse to Live" and "Thunderstorm,"
yes, maybe that's why I put
because
it
I think
there. It's
those
kind
two
of
next to each other would be.
yeah, yeah. He kind of added it as sort of a bridge between the two.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, "Thunderstorm," like you've said it all, Todd. I mean, "Thunderstorm's" just a great track, and this is where Matthew really is trying to branch out and do it all, And I think they're possibly just songs that he already had that he put together, and they work really
Mhm.
well. They sort of segue really well, and
Yeah,
it's
I
a,
was
it's a
looking
great
at the UK release, and it says that the bonus tracks are "Thunderstorm," "Even from My Eyes," "Yes," and "Day in the Sun," which you can
Yeah, I
yes,
sort
see
of
that.
envision
yeah,
that being pulled out of "Thunderstorm," and that's
yeah,
my favorite kind of long form song. I mean,
mm,
whether it be prog rock or power pop or whatever, that's when you can put songs together that you could very easily take out.
yeah, yeah,
One of my
Mm.
favorite artists is this prog artist called named Neil Morris, and he does that.
Mhm.
He can
is
switch
he?
from prog to Elton John to Billy Joel and stuff like that. And so I like that kind of stuff, and I just
Yeah.
think that "Thunderstorm" might be the best example I've ever heard of that.
Oh, that's saying something.
I'd like to hear those songs by themselves, but like in completed form.
Funny, I've never really thought of it as prog because the prog that I grew up listening to was stuff like King Crimson that would just
Well,
was totally like not about melody or songs. It was just,
It is
I mean,
probably
you know
more
what I mean?
accurate to say art rock, because
Yeah.
I mean that is a kind of prog in a long form song that has 3 or 4 songs within it.
Mm,
I
mm.
mean, Yes sort of did that at times. Close to
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Edge is sort of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the way it resolves itself too. After he goes through all the different passages, then it comes back at the end. I'm on my own.
Yeah.
Then it comes back again, and it resolves in a very uplifting way. It's actually a song you want to listen to in when a thunderstorm's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does make you. Actually, I think someone's uploaded a video with that song on YouTube with a thunderstorm visuals. Looks pretty good. But anyway, I mean, it's a great album. I love it. I mean, I've spent many an hour commuting to work back in the days when we all had Discmans.
Mm-hmm.
I would sit on the train
Back
and
in the
listen to
good
this
old days.
album. Yeah, and this is definitely a Discman classic for me. Like many albums back then, taking the train to work, and so I know it note for note that album.
So, Rich, what would you give it out of 10?
I would give it a 9.
Okay.
Hey, I wanted to say something about when you were talking about what matters. You
Mm.
mentioned how it sort of falls apart on purpose at the end.
Yeah,
That's something that I thought that from this point on, actually more accurately from the album after this one on,
he doesn't do anymore.
he does it
Yeah.
a lot. There are a
Oh, he
lot of
does it a lot.
songs that end that just fall apart at the end, and
Oh,
it
yeah.
almost seems like he does it too much to me
Okay.
anyway.
I haven't really thought about that. Which album would that be?
I never
on
thought
now?
about that either.
Yeah, there's on each album that comes what I don't know, A Living Things. I was trying to remember the name of it. From A Living
yeah.
Things on, I think there is at least one song on every album that just falls apart at the end.
Oh yeah. Basically, what he does is he doesn't put the fader down,
Yeah.
like most people do. He just lets the studio.
It's very clear that he's doing it on purpose.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
mean, it's definitely a way to end a song and a legitimate way to end a song, but
Mhm.
he does it often.
Well, it certainly works great with What Matters.
Yeah.
And in that
I think
live
that's the
performance
best
too,
version of that.
yeah, if you look at that live performance I was talking about, he does that with the other dudes playing alongside him. I think one of the guys
Mhm.
from Velvet Crush is playing acoustic guitar on that. I think it's a Velvet Crush guy.
I'll
I'm
check
not
that
sure.
out.
There's
No,
always Velvet Crush is always there backing him up.
Yeah, I think it's him. I'm not sure. I could be wrong. I haven't looked at Velvet Crush for a while, so I'm not sure if it's him or not.
I think it
But
is.
Rick Menk is obviously in Velvet Crush.
Yeah.
Is that how you pronounce his name? Rick Menk?
Rick Menk.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
He's a great drummer, isn't he?
Mhm.
No wonder Matthew's
He's
used
been
him
on
so much over
everything.
the years. Yeah.
He's been on like every record since Girlfriend, I think.
Yeah.
I don't think he's on Earth, but he might know because
No,
Fred
Earth
Bear was
is a drum
playing
machine.
drums.
Earth is a
Well,
drum machine.
Well, for some of it.
Is it? I thought it was totally all programmed. Sounds programmed.
Well, the first record is, I think.
Yeah. But
Well,
anyway, there
anyway.
you have it. That's my review of.
So
In
we got a
Reverse. I hope you
10.
liked it.
We got a 9. I really can't. I think both of you gentlemen did a fine review on this record. I don't have a problem with the song so much. I just have a problem with the production, or should I say the mastering. And that's why I can't. I've already said this before.
That's why I gave it a 9. Otherwise,
I think if Intervention could get a hold of it and let's remaster it. In fact, if I could pick up that CD that you recommended, Rich, I would give that a shot and see what we got.
Look at the bonus tracks there. See, can you see them? The bonus tracks at the
Yeah,
bottom.
are the bonus tracks on the Japanese import the same
Yeah.
on the UK?
Oh,
Those
I dunno.
4 Thunderstorm, Even for My Eyes, Yes, and Day in the Sun? Probably. I bet it's the same.
I don't know. I just got this off eBay.
Yeah. But
sorry.
well, no, I don't have a problem with the songwriting. I never have a problem with Matthew Sweet's songwriting. I just have a problem with the production, I guess. Just
Matthew Sweet doesn't write bad songs. At least he doesn't put them on
No.
his albums. I mean, even his demos, some of them are great. I mean, there's got so many demos out there. Like,
yeah.
it's just what he comes
Oh, I
up
like
with
the
is
demos. All the Altered Beast demos on those bootlegs.
the 100% fun demos I've been into lately.
I haven't.
You should listen to them. They sound a bit more folk rocky. Brendan O'Brien made them much more harder. But if you listen to the 100% fun demos, they have a more sort of a folk rocky feel.
Are those out there in the wild somewhere?
Yeah, they are.
Somewhere?
I'll send you a link if I find it later
Okay.
on.
So I'm going to give this record I hate to be harsh, but I'm going to give it a 7 just because of the sound quality. Just drives me nuts. So a combination of all of us together, we're giving it an 8.6. And I don't think that's bad at all.
Nope.
I think that's totally fair for this point in Matthew Sweet's career. Well, let's go to the next record. Oh boy, here we go. Let me get my notes up. Kimi Ga Suki, which was released in 2003, which is I Love You Life in English. Originally was released on Cutting Edge in Japan in 2003. This was basically a thank you to the Japanese fans. I picked mine up when it came out. I think, how did I order it? I can't remember, but it wasn't my copy. Is the Japanese import? I got it before it came out domestically. So
Did it have bonus tracks on it?
No, it's just the standard track listing. There's no bonus tracks.
My copy of it that I have now is it says manufactured by Avex, Tokyo, Japan, and it's got a whole booklet that's all in Japanese.
Well, then you've got the original one.
But I got this on eBay. My original one, I think, was a domestic one. That's my first wife got that one.
Okay.
And
well, I got the Bandcamp release of it on green vinyl.
Nice.
Oh, nice. Really? I haven't seen that. I didn't even know it came out on vinyl.
Limited edition. What's the label called? Glass Modern.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds pretty good. I would have liked it to sound a bit more brighter, but it's got Japanese liner notes along with the English liner notes and Matthew Sweet's handwriting. And yeah, the artwork's good, isn't it? That artist that he used, I like his artwork.
Yeah.
This also, I just want to mention, pretty much marked a reunion of most of Matthew Sweet's girlfriend era bandmates.
Yeah.
So we've got Greg's back on guitar, Richard Lloyd, Rick Menick, Rick Mentz back. I mean, you don't have, as long as you have Richard Lloyd, we're good. I don't think if Robert Quine was still alive at this point, I'm not sure. But it is basically the Matthew Sweet girlfriend lineup. So everybody, it was a welcome return, you know. For the most part, this record got very good reviews. All Music gave it 4. Encyclopedia Modern Music gave it 4 stars. Pitchfork gave it a 7.3 out of 10. What can I say? I really like this record. This is like, I think we kind of already talked about it. This is like the last great Matthew Sweet album. It's very girlfriend-like. If you like Girlfriend, you would probably like this. I think for me, the highlight of the whole album is the song Wait, which I think is totally worth the price of admission. But Todd and I, we've already kind of looked at this record to some degree. And I don't know. I think it's a great record. Todd, what's your thoughts on this?
Well, the way I feel about this record is that, for one thing, I think it's the best example and it's the most ambitious example of him doing the layered vocals, of him singing along with himself.
Yeah, it's all over this album, isn't
it's
it?
all over it, and it's up front in the mix, and I think he just does a masterful job on it. The drum sound is a little demo-ish, but it sounds, like maybe just a little better than a demo. But there's something about the energy of the album that it doesn't even matter. It's just, there's just something about this album that just works. And the melodic quality of the songs, Dead Smile, Morning Song, The Ocean in Between. I mean, that 1, 2, 3 punch at the beginning of the album, those are 3 really strong songs. I love I Don't Want to Know. Spiral is kind of cool. Kind of like the kind of psychedelic kind of thing. Love Is Gone is good. But Wait, like Grant said, is great. And Tonight We Ride, I think, is just spectacular. I think that it's spectacular.
I'm like that. Todd, I
Yes.
don't think there's a weak track on
No,
the
I love the
record.
whole thing.
I
But the
love the whole
interesting,
thing.
the thing that I want to say about this album, and this might be slightly controversial, is that if he did this himself, and
Mhm.
I assume it's self-produced, I guess so.
Yeah, he
He's the
recorded it at home.
producer.
In his
Yeah,
home studio.
I almost feel like I was really hard on Matthew Sweet from Living Things On because I thought to myself, you know what, dude? You did this already. You made this album by yourself with a small budget at home with your
Mhm.
friends.
Mhm.
So why can't you do it again?
Yeah.
That's very harsh, and I love Matthew Sweet,
No,
and
you
and
know
I
what?
like his albums that come after this,
Yeah.
but I really want to know what happened. There are albums that come after this where it sounds like he's trying to do the layered vocal thing, but it's not quite right. And it's like, did he forget how to do it? Did he have
Well,
help doing it? Did he
it's
decide
labor
he
intensive.
did
Labor
he
Yeah,
decide
exactly.
he
intensive.
It would take
didn't want to
ages
do
to
it
do that.
anymore? Yeah, I think
Believe me,
that's
I
what it
know as a
what it
recording
is.
artist myself
I
how
think he just
hard it
didn't want
is
to do it anymore.
to do harmonies
Yeah.
that big. It takes a lot of vocal effort, and he probably, at that time, just thought, I need a break.
So I don't want to be
Maybe.
too hard on him. That's
No.
the only criticism I'm going to give in relation to this album is that I feel like it's the last time we really heard it as it well, it's selfish as we want
But
it to
there's
sound.
but there I just have to say this. I do think there's some great stuff on Living Things too.
There are
I
some good
it's a
things on
little
Living Things.
okay. All right. I don't know.
Living Things is a totally different approach, though. That album.
Yeah,
I mean,
I agree.
Well, I
he's going
think
to
it's a
be.
little bit more polished than,
Mm.
Kimmy.
He's trying to
But
do like a sunshine sort of pop album, I think, on that.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
Yeah,
All
like an
right,
early
so
70s kind of a thing. Yeah.
yeah, he's trying to. And what's the Van Dyke Parks is on that
he's
album too. And I mean, he's
mhm,
an icon of that sort of music. So.
right. So Todd, what would you rate this record?
9.
Okay.
And I'd rate it lower for sound quality, but it gets bumped up for quality of the songs.
See, and this record doesn't bother me. I think it might have better mastering than what came
Well, it's
before.
also consistent. It sounds whereas in reverse, every song has a different sound. This
Mhm.
album, every song has a similar sound as far as the way the band sounds, like the way the drums sound and the way the bass
Mhm.
sounds. So it's
Yeah.
consistent. So you hear it right at the beginning and all the way through it, it doesn't get any better or worse. It just stays at that
It's a
It's
high
very
level.
consistent.
Yeah,
Very
it just
consistent.
stays at a high
Yeah.
level. And so, yeah.
Well, 9 is a great rating. I'll give it that. Rich, what's your thoughts on this one?
Well, you know what? As a rock fan, I've been listening to rock music since I was a kid. I've always loved albums that sound really spontaneous and are in the moment, and where artists who are really, really talented are left to their devices and they make albums quickly and really inspired. And that's what this album is to me. It's Matthew Sweet. Totally, it was all done in a week. I mean,
It's
how great,
amazing.
how
Yeah.
talented do you have to be to come up with an album this good in a week and mix it, master it? I mean, it's incredible. I mean, and the first track is a good example of how good he is because the first track is just him and Rick Menck. He's playing everything on Dead Smile, and it comes bursting out of the gate, with a real announcement. It just builds up, great chorus, and he just goes for it. And then what's the next track? It's got Greg Lee's.
Morning
You pronounce
Song.
it? Greg
Morning
Lee's and
Song.
Matthew Smith. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
Greg
Morning
Lease is
Song.
on it.
hmm And that song actually makes this album like a morning song for me. Sorry, a morning album for me. I always like listening to this album in the morning because of that. Um, yeah, that's a really, really nice song, a really nice kind of contemplative, kind of dreamy kind of melody that only Matthew Sweet can do. And then he goes into hang on, sorry, I'm looking at Discogs as I go through it. The Ocean in Between is the thing about that song is that it's kind of what can I say? He's the melody kind of floats on top of this bed of sort of acoustic guitars and everything, and underneath it all sounds kind of on the same level, but the
Mhm.
melody sort of floats on top of it. It's got a really, really good feel to it because of that. Then he goes rushing into I Love You, which is kind of, he probably thought in the moment, I'm going to see how I can take a total cliche title and see if I can do something new with it. And he totally just psychos out on that song. He just kind of like portrays himself as this obsessed, like, partner or something who's just absolutely dependent on his partner, and he just psychs out on it. The treatment on his vocals is pretty cool. My mind a deceiver, whatever. Like, he really, really lets it out in that song, and it's an excuse for him too, I think, and the other dudes to just rock out, and it's really fun. Then after that, we get the complete opposite. We have total classic Matthew Sweet melody. I Don't Want to Know. That chorus is just total Matthew Sweet all over, isn't it? I don't want to know. Sounds like something. And the thing about Matthew Sweet is that his 70s influences are so obvious. Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, obviously the Beach Boys. That song sounds like it could have been a 70s song by someone. It's just instantly identifiable as what he does really, really well. What's next? I Don't Want to Know. Warning. Oh, warning. How does warning go again? For some reason, it's off the top of my head. Warning. Is that the one that goes, got a feeling deeper than anguish? Yeah, it's all just acoustic guitars. Yeah, that's interesting. I like the way he just
I think that's
builds
Love
the
Is
track.
Gone.
Oh no, that's Love Is Gone.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm drawing a blank too. We can skip
Hang
it.
on. I can't.
I could only play something, it would help.
I feel really.
I should have had all these loaded up, and I could have went. Well, wait a minute,
on.
Rich. Let me pop this on real quick.
I've got it on YouTube now, looking it up. So, what is it? Oh yeah, here we go. Lately, when I get the feeling.
Oh, so you? Okay.
No, hang on. That side I want to know. Hang on.
Yeah.
Let me check it again. I would rather go back to bed than get up. Yeah. That sounds like a very domestic song. I would rather go back to bed before I get up. It's kind of like he's just talking about what his life's like at home, probably while he's recording the album. It's a good song. I like it. But then we get what's next? Spiral. I like the way he branches out a bit on this. I think the treatment, like the production is really, really good. I really like it when Matthew Sweet gets a bit weird, like when he sort of tries to get a bit experimental, he tries to get a bit dramatic. It's not just straight up power pop dude. There is a side to Matthew Sweet, I think, that a lot of people underrate, and his willingness just to get a bit weird and a bit edgy and a bit different. I mean, he is in many ways like an alternative artist. He's not just, a pop guy. He does branch out from time to time and do different things on his albums. And Love Is Gone is the one I'm talking about. That's just him completely and his acoustic guitar, which is a really, really nice track. I like the way that the harmonies build up towards the end. Love is gone. It's like now we get into a great rocker. Hear This. Hang on, I've got some notes about this. I wanted to say something. Oh yeah, I've always misheard a lyric in this song. Yeah. Matthew Sweet does slip in the occasional F-bomb in some of his lyrics, as we know. Where is it? I got. Yeah, on Hear This. When he sings, I hurt myself by rubbing raw, go too far, can't walk it off. I used to hear it as go to fucking walk it off. Like I thought we're getting a follow-up to fucking Root by Ugly Truth. Anyway.
Altered Beast, yeah.
But anyway, I thought you needed to know that. And anyway,
we are people that want to know what you think.
Okay.
Rich.
Well, maybe have you ever misheard that lyric? Maybe it's just my filthy mind.
It's probably Rich, it's probably your mind. I never really.
Yeah,
I don't think I've heard it that way. It's
being the Aussie dude that I am, where everybody walks around saying that talking like that sometimes in suburban Australia. I probably heard it like that. What's next? Oh, the next one's my favorite. Wait,
That's my
this
favorite.
this is just heaven. This song. I mean, it just goes straight into. I just love the melody, and it's like
Mhm,
this is I think the sort of song where you can really hear in the moment he's writing something stream of consciousness, and
mhm.
he's just putting it down there on the mic, and he's letting it go. I don't what I'm. He's like streaming what I'm gonna do, where I want to go, and I love the breakdown in the middle with the harmonies and the guitar solo. That's
Mhm.
just really sunny sounding in the middle. I love that part, and of course the ending. The harmonies are gorgeous.
Oh
It's just
yeah.
I mean, it's just he perfected it
It's
perfectly
just
on that song.
amazing. It took them a week to put this together and to come
Mm,
up with something so beautiful
yeah,
and catchy, but I think that's part of the charm of the whole record,
it's
you
like
know.
Todd said. I mean, why can't you do it again, Matthew?
Well,
Give us another album in a week. If you
push
could
it.
do
Maybe
this
he
in a
just should
week,
push
Right.
himself.
yeah, I don't know.
Maybe
Maybe
it's probably better that he doesn't overthink things and
Well,
just
he's got
go
all
with
the
the
time in the
yeah,
instinct.
world now. He just works on something until it's done, and then he shops it. So, I
yeah.
mean, I'm guessing that
Although
that's what he's doing.
I
I
think those
guess.
last two albums, Tomorrow Forever and Tomorrow's Daughter, were kind of sort of in the moment too, because he had a time period where he had to get them done because of the GoFundMe
Because
campaign and
right, because
everything.
of the Kickstarter or whatever
Yeah,
it was.
and
Yeah.
but still, those albums they don't necessarily have the immediacy. But he's a bit
Oh,
older too now,
holy
and
crap!
so and the next track, Tonight We Ride. What a banger! What's
Look,
everyone
Dead
says
Wax
banger?
is
Dead
bringing us
Wax.
down, man. Lisa Marie Presley just died.
Oh, really? I
Yeah.
wonder how. What Jeff Beck and now her.
Who's going to be tomorrow? Anyway, go ahead, Rich. Well, Dead Wax.
Yeah.
Holy crap!
Tonight We Ride is just a great rocker. I love the way. Again, like the fact that he wrote and recorded this album really quickly.
Hmm.
He's going for really simple riffs. I mean, that's just a turn it, turn it. He just and Matthew Sweet is so talented. He could just wring a song out of a simple riff any way he liked. And the melody of the chorus, tonight, that's great. What's the next one?
Through
Through
your
Your
eyes.
Eyes is a great closer. It's really, really builds up really great towards the end. A really good conclusion. And again, Todd, we were talking about how he um, extends the end of it. That's
Yeah.
does that song too. So that's appropriate. And then of course he has a little sayonara at the end for his Japanese fans.
Of course.
And after the sayonara, you hear an echo um, channeling the first song in the background. So that's a good way to conclude it. Yeah, no, this album is just a rush of power pop energy. I love it, and it's the
Brilliant.
last album of his I just used to listen to all the time. It's
Hmm.
another it's another Discman album for me too. It's probably one of the last times that people had Discmans back then. So
But
yeah,
it's a classic Matthew Sweet record.
mm,
So, Rich? What would you give this? Todd gave it a 9. What would you give it?
I give it a 9 too.
Holy crap! That's pretty high. Um, Again, I hate to say that, but I think both of you guys really covered the album well. I don't think I really have much to add. I love this record. I think this was the last hurrah. I mean, I like something from all of his records post this record. Um, but man, this is just pop perfection and it's not overthought, you
Mm.
know, going with instinct, laying down tracks. And I think that might be the best way Mr. Sweet could work. I don't know, but I would love to have more of this. I'm like Todd. Why can't you do this again? Just take a week and just write something and crank it out. Bring everybody in the studio
Yeah.
and just do it.
Well, yeah.
Um, but you know, is it girlfriend level? Is it altered beast level?
No, I don't think so.
No, I don't think so. I don't know if I could give it a 9.
Girlfriend's an absolute classic. I mean, it's
Well, I
just
know. So's
you know,
Altered Beast, I think.
yeah. Well,
Altered
yeah,
Beast is just a little bit below Girlfriend.
yeah.
And 100% Fun,
I
I
love
don't
that
know.
album, but
I know.
they're
So it's
a trilogy of greatness.
but what would I rate this?
I bet you give it a 7.5.
No, I think no, that seems pretty harsh. I think I would be comfortable giving it an 8.
Okay, well, that sounds fair enough.
And if we combine that together, we give it a 8.6. So I can't complain about. I love this record. Don't get me
Mm.
wrong, I love it, you know.
But in comparison to the other ones,
Wow, it's just you can't get any higher than Girlfriend. It just was
no.
that's where all the planets aligned, you know.
Yeah.
You only can do that once. Well, I shouldn't say that. The Beatles did it constantly. But this is damn close.
Girlfriend's a special album. It's one of
Right.
those albums that only happens once in an artist's lifetime. Most artists, anyway.
Right.
I mean, Matthew Sweet managed to follow it up with some really other great albums, but
Right.
Girlfriend is like, it also introduced me to a lot of other things that I wouldn't have discovered otherwise, you know,
Right.
especially to do with power pop culture and jangle pop culture and all those sort of things.
I was going to ask you guys, would you consider Under the Covers a Matthew Sweet solo album? It's really not.
I would
Would
Well,
you
not.
with
consider?
Susanna Hoffs,
Yeah,
the ones
but I
with Su-
wouldn't. Would you really
that's
consider
not
that
solo
part of?
though.
No.
It's
No.
collaboration. You know what? It's funny. Before Kimi Ga Suki came out, he released that compilation To Understand. You
Yeah,
know that
which is
compilation.
great.
That's
Mhm.
almost like an album to me because it's like it culls a lot of tracks that make it an experience of listening to a Matthew Sweet album.
There's
Even though it's,
OK tracks on it.
yeah, Bus of Delight,
There's like
Golden
demos and stuff.
Palomino's track.
Yeah, yes, exactly. It's well worth getting. I think that's long out of print. I think Todd had that one time.
No,
but I don't know.
I recently got it. You can buy it on eBay.
Yeah, it's around.
Yeah.
You
The
don't see it
mastering's
very often.
really good on that album too. The tracks from his first two solo albums sound much better on that than they do on the original CDs.
Tim Allen says, I think 100% is actually my favorite Matthew Sweet album.
It's a lot of Matthew Sweet fans' favorite. I know a lot of Matthew Sweet fans, it's their favorite.
Hey, there's DC2 time. Hey, nice to see it. And Tim, thanks for coming by too. Cover material. So for me, not a proper Matthew Sweet album. I get it. Even though I like Under the Covers, I think those are great records that he and
They're fun,
Susanna
aren't they?
They're fun. They're well worth having, but I would not consider them.
Hey guys, what did you think of his cover of Wuthering Heights that he just released?
Oh, I thought it was pretty good.
I thought it was
not
great.
bad.
I think it's promising.
It's totally. It's the last thing I would ever have expected him
Yeah.
to release. But
I'm
I think
just
that was
curious. Well, I'm just curious. What was the reasoning for that?
There's an interview with him that if you go, because I know Grant, you're a member of the Fans United for Matthew Sweet on Facebook, aren't you?
Yeah.
Someone shared an interview with him that he did to coincide with Blue Sky and Mars anniversary, and he said that it was one of those tracks that he was working on during the Under the Cover things, and his wife encouraged him to finish it and put it out.
Yeah, because it's great.
Because obviously Kate Bush is having a resurgence now because of the
timing's everything.
Yeah, it's not bad. I mean, it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's great. So there you go. What did I just say? We rated this 8.6, which is a great rating. The next records we're going to look at is Living Things. We're going to skip Under the Covers, and we're going to jump to Sunshine Lies from 2008. Both of these records get decent reviews, but we're going to wait. We'll probably do this. I don't know. We'll schedule it sometime. I mean, we had the Scott Byron interview. So Todd and I haven't done one of these in like 3 months, probably.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll get it on the schedule, but that's what we'll be looking at next time. Does anybody else have anything to add before we wrap this one up?
I don't think I do. Richard?
Anything coming up with Rush fans, Todd? Or
no, not right at the moment.
Rich, you got anything you need to promote or anything?
No, nothing comes to mind right now. I really enjoyed this though. I really enjoy hearing you guys talk about Matthew Sweet and talk about what you talk about most of the time.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
No, thank you for inviting me. Because I've watched all the other ones and I really enjoyed them. So.
Well, the ongoing series. We'll get
And I
through it
love
eventually.
the one you did about all the ranking, all the favorite songs was interesting. How you chose all a lot of B-sides and things like that, which
Well,
is good because
the funny thing is with Matthew Sweet, and I said this before, a lot of his stuff I think are like on these EPs.
yeah,
They didn't make the record. They could have been on a soundtrack.
yeah,
I mean, his version of Silent City on Buffy is absolutely brilliant.
yeah.
I like it better than what's on the Divine Intervention.
To
Well,
understand.
yeah, which is off the 12-inch of Divine. Well, the 12-inch of something off of Earth. Oh crap, brain problem. But anyway, but I would, if you haven't heard the version of Silent City on the Buffy soundtrack, holy crap,
Yeah, I've heard that.
it's wonderful.
I've
It's
looked up
great.
all his soundtrack stuff.
Yeah.
He was very prolific back in the day, wasn't he? He was on so many soundtracks.
Oh my God, he did so much, and it would be great to get all those all combined under one compilation of some sort.
Did you watch the Q&A with him on his Facebook page when he did it?
I didn't. I missed it.
I watched
did.
some of his live streams where he was playing.
Well, he got people to email questions in, and I obviously emailed quite a few, which he answered all of them, astonishingly. And a lot of the fans were saying, when are you going to give us all the rare stuff compiled, and when are you going to release In Reverse, and all, and also Wicked System of Things is the other thing. And
I got
I've
that
never
on
heard that
vinyl.
album.
Oh,
Yeah,
Todd and I covered that one.
Actually, one thing I'll ask you is if you know anybody who's generous enough to sell a copy of that at a decent price, I think I'll pay no more than $100 for it. I'd really love to get a copy of it, but I didn't.
I just
get it
happened
when
to
it came
find it at a store in Cincinnati when I was online looking for it.
Yeah.
Because I tried to get it for Record Store Day, but my store couldn't get it. In fact, he hadn't got notification that it was canceled. But it evidently came out, but he could not get it.
I saw it in one of my local stores about 2 months later. It was unsold, just on the wall, just a single copy, and I picked it up and put it down.
You picked it up and put it down?
Yeah, because I had an armful of records, and I was just like, next time.
Do you regret it?
Yeah, and that's the thing. It only came out that way. But I found it in Cincinnati. Someone had traded it in or whatever, and I saw it on Discogs. So I called him up. I said, "Hey, you saw that Matthew Sweet record?" And he said, "Oh yeah, we still have it." Well, hold it. I'm up in Delaware. I'll just zip down and get it when I go visit my daughter at UC. So that's what I did. I got it for $85.
I don't even know if anyone in Australia has it, and I don't even know if it came
I don't know
out
if it came out for Record Store Day down there.
No, not Australia. No, I don't think it did. So that's why, if you guys know anyone.
But it's a great record, and it deserves a re-release or streaming or something. And because it's very,
someone's uploaded a few of the tracks on YouTube on their channel.
It's very Kumi like, it's very,
it's one of those albums, like he did very quickly.
Yeah.
Sort of, and it's got that feel to it. It's a bit harder, I think, than some of the tracks sound a bit more hard rock, almost like a guitar in it is a bit more harder, I think.
All right. Well, let's wrap this one up. Both of these records, we give them a high rating. So,
hey, Todd, are you involved in the Big Star #1 record chat?
No, I'm not.
That's tomorrow.
I missed Big Star, and
we haven't done it yet. That was put off. Remember?
Yeah,
remember you postponed it. I'll be on that one. So
that's tomorrow.
It's very surprising, Richard, for as big an REM fan as I am.
Unless I'm wrong,
I'm not familiar with Big Star.
Yeah, of course. I mean, REM, Big Star, so connected. But hang on, I've got my date here for it, and it's Big Star's the 4th, Saturday the 4th.
Oh, okay. I guess
so. Maybe you want to check.
Oh, I must have I read it wrong. Okay, you're good. Don't listen to me. I can barely keep anything together.
You got too many things going on at once.
Holy crap! All right. So yeah, Saturday the 4th. There you go, Big Star. Anyway, I want to thank Todd Evans and Rich for coming by today and talking.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Hey, it was nice to have both of you and Todd again. It's always nice to have Todd here. And Rich, it's a great addition. I'm glad that you're coming on the show and talking music. It's nice having you. Um,
you.
other than that, stay tuned for more stuff. Today, I just put up the April wine discussion that we did last night. And there's another April wine one in the can that I need to edit, and that'll probably come out next week. But this whole month is jam-packed full of content. So please stay tuned. Like, subscribe, ring the bell. Everybody knows what we're doing. Everybody's hip to the scene here. So keep watching and keep making comments. And I want to thank everybody who joined in the chat and left a comment. I appreciate it.
Hopefully, we've initiated some Matthew Sweet fans,
I think Todd. I think we've made some. I think we have,
especially for these albums.
because no one's really talking about these records,
No,
So,
they always mention just the typical ones like Girlfriend and Altered Beast, but people
Right.
forget how long his career has been and how many records he's released.
and it's funny, in the wild, you never see these. I never see In Reverse used anymore. I don't know about you guys. You usually see Altered Beast or Girlfriend or something like that, but
Yeah, I don't remember it getting much publicity at all when it came out. I just saw a few reviews in the magazines. That's all.
Todd knows this, but when I was in Reno, I was at a record store called Recycled Records, and I was going through, and they had some used Matthew Sweet CDs, and I found an original CD pressing, a promo copy of Earth that was pressed on DCAC by Sony. That's how you know if it's an original Earth, is if it was pressed on by Sony back in '89. I'd never seen one before. It tells you how hardcore I am. I'm looking for Earth, an original CD pressing of Earth, for crying out loud. But the CD's marked promo on it and everything. It's cool.
Does it sound good?
I haven't played it. I just put it in the archives in my collection.
Oh, okay.
But I've never seen a promo. All I've ever seen of Earth are promo copies of the albums, and I've seen some cassettes. I've never seen an original CD of it.
All right.
I don't know. So there you go, kids. Just worthless information. But that kind of made my day. I went, holy crap, an original pressing? Never saw it.
Do you guys have original pressings of Girlfriend?
Well, it came out
Vinyl?
later, because it came out, 91? I think the vinyl came out, 93? No,
I
but
don't
I've
have
got
a
a
vinyl
reissue
copy.
of it. I've got a vinyl copy, but it's a later reissue of it.
They're so expensive now. Like a dream to get a copy of Girlfriend.
Yeah, but I think the CD sounds just great.
The CD sounds really good, actually. The original master.
Yeah. I like it better than the SACD of it. And I've said that before. You can get the original cheap, and if you're looking for Girlfriend, just go find an original copy. It sounds wonderful. Very live, and you can crank it up, and it doesn't hurt your ears. I don't know. It is what it is. All right, boys, let's wrap this one up. We'll talk to you later, and thanks everybody for showing up.
Yeah, see you next time.
All righty. Good night.